Hi, I'm Julie from Creative Kraftwerk out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to show you how to pour your very own soy candle. First, we're going to discuss the equipment and ingredients to make your soy candle. We have the soy wax, the fragrance and dye if you choose to use them. Dye can be purchased in liquid, powder, flake, or dye block. And then the UV light inhibitor is optional. Measuring spoons, stirring spoons, wick stickums or hot glue gun, your wick holder, wick setter, the container for your candle, gloves, and paper towels. I also recommend either goggles or eyeglasses in case of spills. So first, let's make sure that our preparation area is protected by either using paper towel or wax paper. And then we're going to set up the jars so that when our wax is melted, we're ready to go. For demonstration purposes, I'm using this handy dandy little wick setter. It's got a hole in the bottom. You just put the wick through the hole. And you can either put hot glue on this. If you do, the wick will stay in the jar, and then you can use the end of your spoon to tap it down because it will be very hot. But for this demonstration, we're going to use what's called wick stickums. They're sticky on both sides. You put that on the wick, pull the tab off, and push it down to the bottom of your jar. And it is now perfectly centered. First thing we're going to do is melt our wax. Wax comes in a variety of forms from many different sources. The best way to check it out is to Google 100% soy wax and pick the one that's best for you. And the way to do that is just to buy small quantities from different companies and do your testing. We are measuring out 8 ounces of soy wax into our container because the jar that we're using is an 8-ounce jar. And now put the soy wax in your microwave, being careful to check the wattage so it doesn't get too hot. You're going to want to melt it for 2 to 3 minutes until it reaches 180 degrees. Once your wax is melted to approximately 180 degrees, and again, check with your manufacturer's recommendations for the temperature your particular wax should be melted at. Then I'm going to add the UV color stabilizer at a half a teaspoon per pound of wax. And the reason I use this is because I do add colorants to my wax, and the colored candle could fade with time, and the UV color stabilizer helps it to keep that from fading from the sunlight or fluorescent lamps. And then we stir that in until thoroughly melted. Next, I'm going to add the dye. And for this particular recipe, I'm going to add 2 drops of purple. Now keep in mind, if you're using the dye block or the flakes, it may require that your wax be heated a little bit warmer to completely dissolve that dye. And then again, stir very well. You want it to be completely incorporated into your wax and not sitting on the bottom of your container. And then add your fragrance oil. And the fragrance oil will be according to your manufacturer's recommendations. And the most important thing is to make sure that the fragrance you have tested and all of your other ingredients have come from a very reliable source and a company that has tested the ingredients in wax. And now we're ready to pour. To complete our candle, we're going to simply pour the candle wax into the jar. Once the jar is filled up, we're going to center the wick. This is where we're going to use our wick centering tool. You simply Place it on the top of the jar and gently squeeze the wick in the center, and it'll hold it perfectly centered. If you don't have the wick centering tool, simply use a pen, pencil, or skewer. Wrap the wick around it. Keep the wick centered and lay the pen or pencil on top of your jar. And leave it that way for approximately 24 hours until the candle is completely cooled. Once your candle has completely cooled, about 24 hours, this is when you'll remove your wick centering tool. And then you'll cut your wick at about 1/4 to 1/2 inch long. Now our candle is done. Feel free to have fun with it. Switch up your containers, add some raffia, ribbon, homespun fabric. Just make sure you have a warning label on the bottom. I hope you enjoyed this video on making your own soy candle. I know this is a handcrafted soap and cosmetic guild, but who says you can't add candles to your line? Complement your products by adding candles in the same sense that you are making your other products in. Have fun with this and create a family of products.